was having an affair with this guy. He even admitted to the operator that it was a friend.
The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Tsars in Russia and making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that the Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must be strong enough in order to balance Christianity, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we need it for the final social cataclysm. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati and the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. This war must be conducted in such a way that Islam in the entire Arabic world and political Zionism and the State of Israel mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which, in all of its horror, will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, savagery, and the most bloody turmoil the world has ever seen. Then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization and the multitude of disillusioned Christians whose deistic spirits will form from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time.
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecies, where nuclear weapons will be used so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees and beg for no more war. They're going to be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations and we come together as one humanity in one world government. And I'm telling you, unless the American people wake up and stop it, the Battle of Armageddon will become reality.
That we're going to experience what we've never imagined.
War is just a shot away. In fact, that shot just happened. That is a true. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Real Deal Media's World at War. I am Dean Ryan, your special late night host here on this incredible Friday the 13th. We have a lot to get to here tonight on this very, very hot weekend, going into the No King's Day, going into Flag Day tomorrow, going into the Israeli new war that we have overseas, and going into Father's Day too. I mean, what a bundle of mess, dramas, and everything in between. And that's why I'm here tonight. And I'll be here for the remainder of this incredible moment in time and history as it's evolving right before our eyes. What you heard there in the beginning of our cold intro was the Albert Pike prediction of old, one of the only relics in DC of a Albert Pike almost modern-esque Nostradamus of the past 200 years, which his prediction is actually fermenting and coming to fruition literally right before our eyes as the death cult is now in full glory and showing its nasty, ugly teeth and everything about that. Yeah, that's true. It is developing as we see it. We're going to call and try to keep up with all the intel as news is coming in every which way direction, to the left, to the right of me. We're going to try to tackle it all. Joining me tonight, you're going to see Jim Fetzer, who is here, who's on deck, who's polishing his revolver for some reason. Don't know why. He's going to be joining us, as well as John Bowne should be here at the half, or joining us all the way live from Texas, where we just missed him last night, but he's going to make up for it here tonight. So if you are new to what's happening, just last night, as we had an entirely different show planned for all of you for our college night routines, well, we got the word that Israel crossed the Rubicon, which therefore, by default, we crossed the Rubicon here on the West, especially the United States. We're tied to the hip of our masters, sadly. They bombed or preemptively struck Iran, who then retaliated. And if we are to use the same doctrine, some might ask, and some have said, does Iran not have the right to defend itself the way they see fit? To use that same formula that was applied with Israel? That's a good question. You know the answer to that, but what is the latest on that before we bring Jim in? Well, here it is. Here's the update on everything Israel in Iran.
After hours of Israeli attacks on its country, Iran launched a response. More than 100 ballistic missiles were fired at Israel in multiple salvos. As sirens sounded across the country, there were interceptions over Jerusalem and a number of missiles impacted in central Tel Aviv. There were reports some people were likely wounded and buildings damaged. This attack on a major Israeli civilian center could well trigger an escalation in this war. Israel's operation began shortly after 3 a.m. on Friday morning. Targets in Iran's capital, Tehran, were some of the first to be hit. 200 Israeli aircraft took part in the opening hours, hitting around 100 targets, including leaders of the Revolutionary Guard and nuclear scientists. With Iran's air defenses mostly destroyed, they carried out wave after wave of attacks throughout the day. Israel's Prime Minister justified the operation as a fight for his country's very existence.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons.
The key nuclear facility in Natanz, where uranium is enriched, was hit multiple times as Israel tried to penetrate the chambers deep underground. Iran said that civilians, including children, were killed in some of the strikes and vowed to retaliate.
This barbaric act that violated all international commitments confirms the criminal nature of the illegitimate Zionist regime that has based its existence on occupation, aggression, and killing children.
Missile launches in Iran were also targeted. Mid-morning, Iran launched 100 drones towards Israel, but they were all shot down before they reached Israeli airspace. In an extraordinary covert operation, Mossad spies operating deep inside Iran took out ballistic missile sites from the ground, using their own drones smuggled into the country in preparation. Israel has warned that the operation could continue for days, possibly weeks. It is a dangerous moment for the Middle East. The region is on edge, but Iran has few allies coming to its defense. World leaders have urged de-escalation, but Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu see this as an historic opportunity to destroy Iran's nuclear program and, maybe, even the regime itself. Alistair Bunkle, Sky News, in Jerusalem.
Very interesting stuff here, as now we have gone a kinetic war, got ourselves a kinetic war on our hands, and what better person to call to Dak to just give us the play-by-play analysis in a wonderful article that Jim wrote. We'll be getting to shortly, but let's welcome to the stage to World at War on the special edition, the one, the only Jim Fetzer. Jim, what a heavy-duty day. We have many American families getting ready to go on summer vacation, graduation, Trump's birthday, Father's Day, Flag Day. What else am I missing? Yeah. What's going through your head here, Jim? We did not expect this so soon. Plus the riot.
Trump appears to have played a crucial role in seeking to lull Iran into the false belief that Israel would not attack and that he opposed the very idea, which it's quite clear in retrospect is opposite of the facts of the case. In fact, go back about a week and he was saying if Iran doesn't come to the negotiating table, very bad things are going to happen to Iran. He knew it was coming. From all the research I've been able to sort out, it required American assistance in terms of the weapons that were used, the attacks that were planned, the way in which they navigated to their targets. So the U.S. was complicit in this attack upon Iran, which the world virtually universally has rejected as an atrocity, as a violation of international law, as a crime against humanity by the Israeli state. No surprise. That's exactly what has just taken place.
Yes, it is. You know, I said a statement here, and I think that the great Seth Black says it best. He says, does Iran not have the right to defend itself? Jim, this is a mantra that we heard for the last 2 years, time and time again, about Israel after October 7th. A lot of people said Israel has the right to defend itself. So I ask, and I pose the question to you and our audience, not a religious guy, but does Iran have the right to defend themselves? Because this was a preemptive strike, was it not?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And Netanyahu's rationale is just ridiculous. For 20 years, he's been claiming Iran's on the verge of developing a nuclear weapon. Iran's on the verge of developing a nuclear weapon over and over again. Iran has forgone the use of nuclear weapons. Iran has ruled them out. Iran is not seeking nuclear weapons. So here you have Netanyahu justifying attack because non-existent weapons on the part of Iran are supposed to pose an existential threat to Israel. It's absurd on its face, Dean, and everyone knows it.
Well, Jim, that's so interesting you said that, because this is Netanyahu. We looked in the RDM archives, and this is him at the UN 10 years ago, literally saying what you just shared with us here tonight. Check this out.
Iran's rulers promised to destroy my country, murder my people. And the response from this body, the response from nearly every one of the governments represented here has been absolutely nothing. Utter silence. Deafening silence.
We've taken out top military commanders, senior nuclear scientists, the Islamic regime's most significant enrichment facility, and a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. More is on the way. The regime doesn't know what hit them. They don't know what will hit them. The nation of Iran and the nation of Israel have been true friends since the days of Cyrus the Great. And the time has come for you to unite around your flag and your historic legacy by standing up for your freedom from an evil and oppressive regime. It has never been weaker. This is your opportunity to stand up and let your voices be heard. Woman, life, freedom. Zan, Zandegi, Azadi. As I said yesterday and many times before, Israel's fight is not with you. It's not with you, the brave people of Iran whom we respect and admire. Our fight is with our common enemy, a murderous regime that both oppresses you and impoverishes you. Brave people of Iran, your light will defeat the darkness. I'm with you. The people of Israel are with you.
Wow, Jim, we just saw a stark contrast of the last 10 years of someone who's been on a huge journey to destroy Iran. It seems to be Benjamin Netanyahu. Jim, you want to comment on that? Because it's historical of a non-change of ethics in course for Israel. Has it not been that case?
Well, we're getting there a massive dose of what we used to call in the Marine Corps happy horse shit. It was all nonsense. None of it adds up. He's accused Iran of being a genocidal regime when it's the Israeli regime is genocidal. And one of the concerns I have, Dean, is that while there's all the attention on the attack by Israel on Iran and Iran's response against Israel, what is becoming of the people of Gaza? Are they going to polish them off? Or they continue to allow them starvation? Trump told Bibi of late he had to end this war in Gaza now. Is this a cover for doing precisely that? I fear that is one of the factors involved here. The world must not lose sight of the plight of the Palestinian people.
Well, no, there's a true statement. And, you know, I've noticed since I've been paying attention to Israel the last 25 years, is every time there seems to be a deal, Jim, whether it's a two-state solution or a deal with Iran, you seem to find Netanyahu, who's just creeping out from under the table saying, Iran wants to wipe us all out. We must finish them. There will be no two-state solution. In fact, Jim, here's a little archive I found about the two-state solution from 10 years ago. Check this out. As the White House was deeply concerned back then. Here it is.
Benjamin Netanyahu gave a prayer of thanks for his political comeback.
I appreciate the decision by Israel's citizens to elect me and my friends against all odds and in the face of powerful forces.
His surprising and crushing victory, the product of an 11th hour push for right-wing votes, promising there would be no Palestinian state on his watch, and whipping up fear on Facebook with a warning to the base, get out and vote to prevent Arab parties from unseating him.
The right regime is in danger. The Arab voters are coming in huge amounts to the polls.
But those hard-lined statements that saved his job may only deepen his bad blood with the Obama administration, who was privately hoping for his ouster. U.S. officials say they are waiting to see if Netanyahu dials back. If he doesn't, it could be a game changer for both the peace process and U.S.-Israel relations.
Certainly, the fact that he's changed his position has an impact. I'm not going to prejudge what we'll do. The election was yesterday. Those comments were made 2 days ago, so I'm sure we'll continue to discuss.
But Netanyahu is unlikely to reverse course.
His essential concern that Israel withdrawing territory exposes itself to more danger is something he feels in his heart, and he believes that many, probably most Israelis share with him.
So, Jim, you heard it right there. That was from 10 years ago when this demonic serpent came back into power, literally made his entire platform by saying on his watch, there's not going to be a two-state solution. How the hell are these genocidal maniacs in Israel running the foreign policy of this country down to the domestic policy in this country? And I'm sure there's a hand in what we are seeing is the civil unrest and civil war in the United States, Jim. You want to comment on this because the snake has no more clothes now. We know who he is.
Observed, every other member of Congress has an AIPAC handler. It's a combination of blackmail and funding, bribery. They use all the techniques of the trade to manipulate the government. There are suggestions they have a whole lot on Donald Trump himself. He seems to be going with a blow, being supportive, even going to the extent of deceiving Iran about the prospects for no attack by Israel to lull them into a relaxed position. But now I think, as Putin has discovered, the West is completely untrustworthy in relation to Ukraine. Iran has discovered even the United States is untrustworthy in any serious matter. Our credibility, Dean, is shot.
So so let's talk about Putin here. Let's war game here. Let's get into some geopolitics, and I want to get into how maybe some infiltration happened to Iran with your bombshell article, Jim, in the next segment. But let's look at this right here. We have Putin's generals calling for massive mobilization as he declares World War III has happened. Jim, this is some crazy stuff. This is coming out of the Express. So my question, as I'm pulling this up here, as we are in DEFCON 1 in the United States, we're in DEFCON 1 as we see it here. Just how crazy, what does this entail here? I'm lost for words because Putin's general claim World War III has already begun. We said it started 5 years ago, but layman's the Kremlin to carry out mass mobilization of tons of troops. Just exactly, Jim, where are these guys going to be mobilizing? Is it because Iran is backed by China and Russia? What is the implications going forward here?
Well, it's multifaceted, Dean. Remember now, Ukraine manipulated these deep strikes into Russia, hitting part of their nuclear triad, air, land, and sea. In accordance with the START Treaty, they had their bombers out at public display, where the other nation, the United States, could see they were not in the air, headed toward America, just as the Russians could see American bombers were not in the air, headed for Russia. I think that Putin's generals have it right, and that Putin is now resolved to take out Ukraine. I believe it's going to be very serious. It's going to happen with much greater aggression now, and Russia will not allow Iran to fall. And even though Israel may believe it has the trump card in terms of nukes, because it has a vast nuclear but undeclared arsenal, that makes it, strictly speaking, illegal for the United States to provide Israel with foreign aid, because it's in violation of American law that any country with undeclared nuclear weapons may not be the recipient of American foreign aid. If they were to use nukes on Iran, they would run the risk of being nuked themselves. And there are plenty of countries out there, North Korea, India, Pakistan, nuclear powers that would not tolerate that happening to Iran without counterpart strikes upon Israel of the same type. And because Israel is small, while Iran is large, Iran can sustain nuclear strikes far easier than Israel. Talk about wiping Israel off the map. I believe if they were to attack Iran with nukes, they would guarantee their own extinction.
Well, that's just it, Jim. The big elephant in the room is Israel has a nuclear bomb. They got it as soon as they offed Kennedy, as they were part of that event. They got their nuclear proliferation and all that going through here. And you had people like the great one, as they call Mark Levin, saying they should use the Samsonite option to, what does that entail, again, for those who may not be familiar with the term in matter?
Well, even Golda Meir, longtime prime minister of Israel, acknowledged the Samson option, that Israel had nukes in the embassies of the Western countries in multiple locations in the United States. And if Israel feared it were going down as a nation, if its existence were threatened, it would take the rest of the world along with it, just as Samson brought down the temple around him. That's the idea, Dean. There are rumors that those nukes have been located and neutralized, but I'm not in a position to verify whether they are true. I can assure you the Samson option is, I'm afraid, all too real.
Yes, it is. We have Nathan Bedford over there on Rumble saying the following. This could be the big one. This could be the big one to set up the massive culling for the herd as forecast by the Deagle Report of 2025. Thank you, Nathan. Extremely brilliant point. The oligarchy goes underground, or South American scripted limited nuclear war. That is such a brilliant point. Jim, I just saw today, you see strengthening ties between Israel and Argentina. Where have we seen this before? Because you have the elites who are not Jewish. These are doomsday devil worshippers living up to the Albert Pike fruition. Jim, they're prepared to jump ship and move all of their gold and money and fortunes around all the way to Argentina, where you have President Milei of Argentina, who is a sycophant of Judaism and everything Israel. Do we not see that happening, that they're willing to sacrifice all of the citizens of Israel in this modern day World War III scenario that's playing before us? Are they willing to do that, Jim? Because I have a feeling they are. And that was the whole experiment and reason behind Ukraine, as it was going to be the new Israel. What are your thoughts on that thesis there, Jim?
Being the United Nations and all the nations of the world are opposed to what Israel has done by attacking Iran, with the exception of 14 countries, most of which are tiny in the South Pacific of no significance, but Argentina and Hungary are standing with the U.S. and Israel. And I have been informed that the president of Argentina is, in fact, a relative of Bibi Netanyahu, that they are genetically related. And of course, Viktor Orban of Hungary is a huge fan of Donald Trump. I believe that explains why those two nations are the exception. But we're in a situation where I believe Israel is on the verge of being expelled from the United Nations. And frankly, it wouldn't surprise me if there were a move to expel the United States as well.
We had somebody say there's no hide laws. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure that Israel is going to be recognized going further. I think Jim's got it right on. We have Seth saying Israel are expansion occupiers. Very good, interesting. Elena says Mr. Yahoo is full of shite. Jim is right. Yeah, Jim should be the prime minister of Israel. They'd be in better hands. Here it is. Ming's Cat says there's no hide laws. Jim, you want to explain what that no hide laws definition is?
Laws are essentially would ban Christianity, because first says there can be no idols, and they regarded images of Christ on the cross as an idol, so that death is the punishment for those who violate this law, which is intended to impose Jewish religion as a superior religion and basically make all others illegal. It's an astonishing move, but that is very much at the core of the no hide law movement, which, let us hope, never comes to America. But there are those who would advocate its adoption even here.
Seth, I think you're right. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Yeah, please don't, if you can. Okay, and yes, PJD over there on Facebook. Ben's real name is Milowski. Yeah, he's from Polish. Every prime minister has a fake name. We covered that a bit ago. We have Angelina Wolf on Rumble that says Levin is off the chain. Can somebody send me a link of Mark Levin, please? I would really wanted to see that. I was told it's next level crazy. I was told. Here we have Michael Murray over there on the Real Dean Ryan on Facebook saying Friday the 13th is the next 5 months spell. Okay, yeah, a lot of kooky things happening. We have the strawberry moon. We had another full moon last night. We have weird weather. We're going to get into the riots coming up in the next few segments here. But I want to just get into now before we get into the media. I want to talk to you, Jim, about the Saudi Arabia factor. Just 2 weeks ago, within the past 2 weeks, you had Trump going on the big Middle East tour of revitalizing relations with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, and Syria. Jim, on one hand, that's great. On the other hand, you have Saudi Arabia, who's now condemning Israel for their preemptive strike attack. How is this going to look in our business relations that we were all joyful about? And now here we are with the biggest killer of it all, Netanyahu.
Oh, I think world opinion is coalescing. Israel as a rogue state, as I say, I believe it could very well lead to its expulsion from the United Nations. The trouble is the United States is so tightly allied with Israel, and I guarantee you complicit in this dastardly attack upon Iran, which is a peace-loving nation. It's historic, and Iran has not launched a war of aggression against any other state since 1775, Dean. Just to put that in perspective, the Constitution was ratified in 1787. George Washington elected our first president in 1789. So for longer than the United States has existed as a constitutional republic, Iran has not launched a war of aggression against any other state.
Interesting. We have Tim Finch over there on Rumble. Thank you, Tim, for being here. If nuclear weapons are used in this region, the whole region will do. This whole region depends on desalination of the seawater for drinking. If the sea gets radiation, they're all dead. Good point. Didn't think about that. Isn't the Strait of Hormuz, isn't that just pretty much dried up at this moment in time? Here's a good point, too. Let's ask Jim on this. We have Angelina Wolf saying, how will that go for a few millions of Islamists in the U.S.? Jim, what do we think about the sleeper cells in America? Because, yeah, it could be said that there's Iranian sleeper cells, if not others, but isn't the beneficiary of a sleeper cell going rogue and live at this time? Wouldn't that be a Mossad power play? And then to make it look like Iran, or is this legitimately Iranian sleeper cells? What's your take on that? And then let's get into Iran after that.
Well, it's a pretty good question, Dean, because Mossad is incredibly professional, highly competent. They accomplish their goals time after time after time. They're masters of deceit and deception. The role they played in setting up Israel for the attack on Iran turns out to be brilliant, absolutely brilliant from a military and intel point of view. However much you may deplore the objective of taking out or attacking a great nation, which I respect and admire beyond words, but the idea of having sleeper cells in the U.S. that Mossad or Israel could activate in the name of Iran to foster attacks that might antagonize the American people toward Iran by virtue of deceit and deception, that would be unsurprising in the extreme. You can virtually guarantee something like that will happen.
Okay, well, yeah. So let's talk about this now. I was quite depressed, as a lot of people might be depressed, disappointed at this point. But just the other day now, I believe, or I should say this morning, Jim, I mean, things are flying by so fast. We had Donald Trump, who had released a statement. I want to read it to you all over there on Truth Social, and we might have to ask Jim to move his microphone back just a tad for us while we do this. But check this out right here. This is coming from Donald Trump's Truth Social. I'll read it for you. It says the following quote: "I give Iran a chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest words to, quote, just do it. No matter how hard they tried and no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know. United States, okay, most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it. I'm not sure how cozy of a deal, with much more to come, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they did not know what was about to happen. They are all dead now, and it will only get worse. There has already been great death and destruction, but there's still time to make this slaughter, the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left in save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it's too late. God bless you all. Jim, I don't know if that is the art of the deal or if that's the art of the Netanyahu deal there, because who is this guy? Who is this guy?
That could have been written by Bibi himself. And I say it reflects that attitude I reported before, where Trump said that if Iran does not make a deal, and he gave them 60 days to make the deal, that the situation is going to be very bad things are going to happen. This attack occurred on day 61, Dean. So anyone who has any doubt about whether or not Trump was all in on it, just look at that statement. It speaks for itself. Sad to say.
Unless there's massive amounts of 5D chess here, Jim, we are a captured nation. We have a captured executive branch, Jim, for sure. But this is where the conflict happens. Okay, so here's little Marco Rubio and what he said, representing the State Department just today, and reiterated what he said last night. Here it is, Jim, the following. Let me read it for you. This is from little Marco. Said the following, quote, "Tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran." This is from last night, excuse me. "We are not involved in the strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for self-defense. President Trump and the administration has taken the necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel." Jim, what was wrong with just having that statement? Okay, that's fine. That's a lot better than Netanyahu lied over here. Okay, and I'm no fan of Marco Rubio, but that was what Marco said was light years better than Al Capone over here.
Dean, you're
literally
100% correct. Absolutely. That's a wonderful contrast. I love that you made that comparison. Rubio was at least in the realm of diplomatic propriety. Trump was off the wall, thuggish, brutal, threatening, all in on Israel's side. Nothing diplomatic about it, even remotely.
And ladies and gentlemen, the Armageddon is near when I'm agreeing with Marco Rubio. That's how bad it is. Okay. That's the kind of world we're living in when I have to agree with little Marco. All right. I hate myself for it, but I have no choice. Okay. We have Rebel Marnie says sleeper cells all over Canada too. Yeah, this is right for China to just not even hardly participate. They're sitting back and watching, and they'll scoop up the remains after this. Okay, very good point there. We thank you for it. Rebel Mania 1 over there on Rumble says the following: if American embassy or military base gets hit, it would be blamed on Iran. We will be at war. That's a given at this point. Oh, China could do it. Even an Iranian person could do it. And how about this? A Mossad person, because they benefit. We just showed you 10 years of Netanyahu really soliciting a war time and time and time again, doesn't want a two-state solution. And that's why, Jim, I think they captured Trump because he was about to get one done. But here we have Retaliation Friday, they're calling it. And let me read a statement for you too here. This is from the Iranian Guard. They said Iran retaliated and said the following. And by the way, too, Jim, they just raised the red flag on top of the Iranian Capitol building for the all of the Islamic world.
Revenge.
So they said the following. Let me read this for you. They said, quote, that the Zionist regime should anticipate a severe punishment by God's grace. The powerful arm of the Islamic Republic's armed forces won't let them go unpunished. Jim, I mean, this is Armageddon time, like William Cooper was talking about at this point. They're serious. Now, Jim, can you explain what that means when the red flag is raised by Iran going forward here? What does that entail? And then let's get into your article next.
Well, it means that Iran is all in, that the retaliation against Israel is going to be crushing. They're going to give it all. They're not backing down. They won't give an inch. They're committed. The existence of the Iranian nation is at stake.
Yes, it is. We have El Majat saying the following: I'm very sick of the bullshit with these insane leaders right now. I'm even more pissed that people are sitting back and taking it. WTF is going on. Hey, you know what? We're not taking it. Let me tell you, if people think that the MAGA people are all about this, nobody. His whole base is lost, Jim. Is that safe to say at this point? The Trump base is completely splintered with this. Because
it depends how much people understand what's going on. But I think he has definitely shaken up everyone who believed he was the peace candidate that was going to end these stupid wars, because now he's making matters overwhelmingly worse, Dean. I think those who really understand what's going on have their belief in Donald Trump shaken to the core, and the others are just still trying to figure out which way is up.
I think it's that way at this point. Okay, we have Maddie Lynn saying this is not America first. No, I'm telling you, I have yet to see, aside from the sycophants of Donald Trump, I've yet to see true MAGA America First people, which also include MAHA, the Make America Healthy Again. I have yet to see anyone for this except for the a lot of Israeli population, and it's a holy war at this point. Jim, we have a break coming up. I want to get to your article on the other side if we have a moment. And I want to talk about some of the people that are turning on Trump. And one of those people is Tucker Carlson. It's unbelievable. So stand by there, Jim. We're going to take this quick network break here as you're watching a special edition of World at War here on this Friday the 13th. It's said to be a demonic holiday of sorts, and certainly feels that way. Who knew that hell was this anxiety riddled at this point? But it certainly is. Anyways, we're going to take this quick break. We'll be back after this quick message, and we'll be back with a scathing article from our very own Jim Fetzer. You don't want to miss that. Stand by. We'll be back.
Well, I don't want to say. Could very well happen. Look, it's very simple. Not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, I want them to be successful. I want them to be tremendous. We'll help them be successful. We'll trade with them. We'll do whatever is necessary. You know, I stopped a war between India and Pakistan. And I stopped it with trade. Nobody, I don't think I've ever seen a story written about it, but it was pretty cool.
And now it brings me great joy to announce.
Okay, what the hell was that? We'll never. British websites. I mean, an ad at every single pore there. But yeah, there it is. Donald Trump seems very subdued to me. He seems drugged up to me. Makes no sense. Anyways, welcome back, everybody, to a special edition of World at War. Yes, it is the Israel's genocidal war, that is, to be exact. And I am still your host here, Dean Ryan, cruise director, cruising with you to midnight and beyond here in DEFCON 1, to be exact. As tonight is brought to you by RealDealMedia.tv, all the night owls who make this happen. Join us, keep these broadcasts going, as I'm going to be with you tonight, tomorrow night, or day, depending on the No King's Day, which we're going to talk about coming up here, as well as the escalation in the Middle East, as we're always acting like somebody's pimp in this world, aren't we? America is always somebody's pimp, and then Israel's our pimp. So they are the ultimate supreme pimps. We're just the regular flavored pimps, and we're just pimping around. And I'm quite sick of it myself. And someone else who's sick of it too is Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson. And look at this now. We'll get Jim's take here coming up here. But Tucker Carlson is saying the following. He is saying that he is sick of the warmongers over there. Here it is. Tucker Carlson attacks warmongers at Fox. Sean Hannity, Rupert Murdoch, quote, "They will have to answer for this. This is huge." He is screaming at the top of his lungs. Jim, let's welcome you back. Jim, you want to comment on this? Because Tucker's had it. His gloves are off. He said the comments came hours after Iran launched retaliatory strikes against Israel today. He's now saying, here's a quote, look at this, "The real divide isn't between people who support Israel and people who support Iran or the Palestinians." He said the real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it, between warmongers and peacekeepers. Jim, I could not have said that any better myself. Let's talk about how the great divide is really now dividing the base of Donald Trump. We don't know who this guy is anymore.
I think that's right, Dean. I think we do not know who he is because the guy in office is acting so completely different than the man on the campaign platform who had so many wonderful ideas that appealed to us all that we elected him president again. Tucker, I think, has it right. It's no longer Democrats or Republicans, supporters of Israel or those of Iran. It's we, the warmongers and the peacemakers. Exactly right. He's
Jim,
nailing it. And
look at this. He even names them. Here we go. He even names them on the list: Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Robert Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch, Ike Perlmutter, and Miriam Adelson. At some point, they will have to answer for this, but you should know their names now. Damn straight. And despite being complicit in an act of war, the president hopes last night's events will help some ongoing nuclear negotiations. That's the big myth I don't get, Jim. I know what if this was us, okay? What if it was the United States that got struck by China, and then China said, we better get our act together and get back to the negotiation table and make a deal with them? How would we like that? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, preposterous. We reject it out of hand, just as the Iranians are rejecting out of hand. And they see now Trump is complicit, that Trump is a double dealer, that Trump has lied to them, and he deliberately lulled them into a false sense of relaxation and security just at the very time Israel planned to attack, and he damn well knew it and participated in the planning and the execution. It's pathetic, it's outrageous, and it discredits the United States from top to bottom.
Well, speaking of that, you put a wonderful news aggregation of an article together. You gathered some really great pieces. I wanted to go over that, Jim, as we kind of close this segment out here. I think it's so key to really put a cap on it all. So let's talk about this now. Israel Mossad infiltrated Iran to damage their air defense systems during the Operation Rising Lion. You want to talk about this, Jim? Because this is
this is republished on my blog from the New York Post. So they did a brilliant job of piecing this together. It turns out the plan for this attack has been taking place for 8 months, that Mossad infiltrated Iran, that they were identifying key locations, including air defense systems, missile systems, and the like. There's a map showing the areas that were attacked. And honestly, from an intel point of view, from a purely military, independent of the politics, which I deplore, Mossad was completely brilliant here. This was a stunning success. And I got to say, I have great admiration for Mossad as a professional organization, even though I deplore the politics for which they have been deployed. As a great fan of Iran, which I regard as the most peace-loving nation on earth.
Well, definitely the Persians. I mean, this only gets the people of Iran to rally around their government, and they will fully take advantage of the crises like any government would. But this is the devastation of people that are just living their lives like us and paying a hefty price from this because of the expansion efforts of the creepy country called Israel. I wanted to show that here. Now, as that's happening, we also have the Israel and Jordan intercept Iranian drones. I can now tell you that Israel's military intercepted Iranian drones launched in response to the airstrike on Iranian targets. Israel's unprecedented assault involving 200 fighter jets and over 330 munitions targeted over 100 sites. Now the U.S. confirmed it was not involved in the Israeli operation through Secretary Marco Rubio, who I never in my wildest dreams thought I would agree with. Now, here's the kicker, and I have some more tidbits on this. Iran launched over 100 drones in retaliation. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warned of harsh response. Jim, I know we talked about this before in years past, that Iran doesn't really need a nuke to garnish a war, conduct a war, do they? Because they have other kinds of tools and operations, do they not?
They do, Dean. They have non-nuclear weapons that I think are going to more than suffice. I believe by the time this is over, Iran is going to have devastated the military capabilities of Israel now, because Israel struck the first blow, and it was a massive blow, militarily speaking, a brilliant blow. I believe Iran is now completely dedicated, all out, to finish the job of taking out Israel, which frankly was never its intention. They had mistranslated a statement by a past president of Iran saying this too will pass, meaning the Zionist regime governing Israel from Tel Aviv will pass, into Iran intend to wipe Israel off the map. Well, that was not their intention in the past, but it may be the effect that takes place now.
Very good point. And here's some of the damage, the aftermath of the Iranian missiles. Here, this is some footage in Tel Aviv. Let's share this with our wonderful audience all over the world, as we're broadcasting like on 6 different dozen places right now. Okay. So there you could see, well, you saw absolutely nothing. I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyways, let me refurbish that. Jim, I want to talk about China real quick. Now we have word now that China, let me tell you about this here. This is quite interesting. China sends 2 aircraft carriers to the Pacific, signaling growing naval ambitions. That we have now, the U.S. is now worried the deployment of Chinese carriers complicates U.S. efforts to support Taiwan in this downtrodden time. Jim, we have a war on every front here. As my computer is screwing up per usual, but Let's talk about the China factor here, because they're going to sit back and just scoop up all of the leftovers. And how did Taiwan become a factor now, or has it always been?
Well, Taiwan has always played this anomalous role historically. The United States has even agreed to the one China policy, to wit, that Taiwan is a part of China and will eventually be reintegrated, though I'm not at all sure there's a specific timeline for that to occur. I think it's unlikely that China is going to attempt to take Taiwan. I think that the benefits of having Taiwan are far greater than would occur were they to retake it now, when it's going to happen inevitably in the future. The Chinese are, if anything, very patient, but there are circumstances under which they may feel they have to act. I believe that if Iran were to be nuked by Israel, that China would take that very badly and be quite emphatic in opposing Israel, as would Russia and all the other decent, humane nations of the world. So I believe, too, as I've suggested already, that while Israel may consider that to be their trump card, I believe it would lead to their being nuked themselves, and therefore, if wisdom were to prevail, it's one they don't want to play.
That is true. And finally, and then we're going to go to everything live chat and phone calls and love letters here. Okay, so let's get into No King's Day here. Here's KTLA giving us the latest.
This weekend, law enforcement on high alert, but so are the protesters. We've got details on both big stories now at 6 o'clock.
Good evening. I'm Cher Calvin.
And I'm Rick Chambers in tonight for Micah. Following a week of the ICE raids and anti-ICE protests, this afternoon, the unusual sight over in Westwood, Marines are there. They began patrolling outside the federal building, where they reportedly detained one person already. And ahead of this weekend's No King's Day protest, the Major General with them says that the Marines will not participate in any of the law enforcement activities during all of these demonstrations. Now, you may have seen it a few moments ago. Mayor Karen Bass was joined by some local leaders to give a speech ahead of tomorrow's protest.
Rachel Benetoff joins us in downtown LA with some of what the mayor, LAPD chief, and sheriff had to say. Rachel.
Sheriff Rick, the sheriff and the police chief had a very clear message this afternoon. They say that if you're protesting peacefully, you will be protected. But if you're engaging in violence, throwing rocks or pyrotechnics, you will be arrested. Now, they are maintaining the 8 p.m. curfew, which went into effect a couple of nights ago through the weekend. Authorities say it has been helpful in curbing criminal activity, especially late at night.
Okay, that broadcast kind of sucked. Jim, let's talk about No King's Day. Here is, we're talking 50 states around the country here. As you can see here, they're gearing up for it. Here's some armored tanks. What do we know this part? Because now it's even coming out that Trump may cancel his birthday in wake of all this. And some people say he's getting ready to pull the Insurrection Act. And Jim, it would make sense, because we're talking 50 states, 50 crazy people. We even have Hillary Clinton, who's coming out of the graveyard to really promote this. What are we to expect here in the next 24 hours, Jim? Because we've expect emergency broadcast system, blackout, Insurrection Act, all hell breaking loose, cats and dogs getting along, sky falling. Where do we stand here in the next 24 hours, Jim?
Well, Trump's already given himself a way out, because he said if there are lightning strikes or a threat, in others, if the weather is stormy, he'll cancel the parade. I believe that's highly likely to happen. Whether these No King protests are going to amount to anything is a good question, but an awful lot of the protesters in LA already are being paid by Soros Open Society Foundation, overtly or covertly. We got the pallets of bricks showing up, just as during the Summer of Love, in the wake of the staged George Floyd death. So, when it comes to the Democrats pulling stunts of this kind, it's hard to predict where they're going to go, but you can count on it to be wild and bizarre in the extreme.
Yes, it is. I mean, for my birthday, I'm not sure I wanted all of this military personnel. It could have been a ruse, like the Netanyahu Trump feud. Jim, in retrospect, I think the fix was in, and it was a tall tale sign of when that gentleman was dismissed for the Signal conversation link of Pete Megaseth. That's treason, and they just removed him and just sent him to the UN to go sit at the kids' tables. That was a tall tale sign. But let's see what our audience says here as we kind of sunset here tonight. We have Kim of San Diego saying the following, that there's one set up down the street here in San Diego. Trump should cancel ASAP. He needs to come out and take control, or we are baked. I could not agree more. We have Seth Black who says, my friend's son took pics of pallets of bricks in DC. Yeah, that's, I don't understand that. Okay. That is a weird one as well. We have Rebel Mama who says, no other option, insurrection. Otherwise Trump has his hands tied. That's a thing. You know, the Mossad and how Israel works, they'll kill you, your whole family. If you remember the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia just 100 and some odd years ago, Trump could very well be a captured person who's given us hints of what's really going on, like he did in the first term. Okay, we have Dame Pam from Rumble says, some Antifa may pretend to be MAGA tomorrow and create havoc. Stay home, folks. We have Moloch, who's now coming to the parade tomorrow, too. I mean, who else isn't coming? Is that, you know, I swear to you. Okay, here is another one here. We have Al Mott saying Taiwan will go crawling home if we keep on the path we are heading. Yeah, who's going to really want our protection? That's another thing too, Jim. Our military is so depleted. Obama used Chinese metal and steel to build our military, aircraft, and you name it. I don't think we stand a chance in a full-scale war. Do you, Jim?
No, I think we're in terrible shape. Trump has exaggerated expectations. He's living in a world of illusion about relative military power. He even seems to believe that the Russians have lost 1.5 million and the Ukrainians only 150,000, which is the opposite of the facts. I'm very, very worried about his being fed false information deliberately and that he's making decisions based upon that data.
That is something very interesting here. Okay, here's another one. We have Nathan Bedford, who's won our daily double earlier. He said the following: my brother and I went to the, quote, Minuteman rally at the building in about 1994. Stunning. We had about 75 people, and the counter protest had about 5 Hispanics, and the local news showed only the 5 Hispanics. Well, yeah, I mean, unless the Hispanics were the actual band Menudo, why would they not show you guys at this point? That shows you how biased the people are. Here's another one here. We have... okay, there's so many people come. We're all over the place tonight, everybody. We've had a record amount of people watching us all week. Okay, here we have Mr. Watland, who says, do not trust your local hospitals ran by the Zionists who hand down directives to all employees. Interesting. Blue Sky says Trump's been adding surprises since his day one. Jim, let's talk about that kind of in closing before we get to our final thoughts here. How does Trump pull out of this if there's even still a chance? Because Marco Rubio is the only glimmer of light with his statement that gives me just a 5% chance of hope. How do we turn this around, Jim Fetzer?
I'm afraid the statement that he has just made seals a deal. I think he's wedded to Israel. I don't see any way he can back out. There was a time when he could have ended these stupid wars overnight by the stroke of a pen. Just cut off U.S. supplies to Ukraine, the war is over. Cut off supplies to Israel, the Geneva, the Gaza genocide is over. He could have done it then. He did not. Sad to say, he's left it in the plight we face today.
Okay, we have Kenny59B. Thank you, Kenny. This is so key what he's saying. He said our generals went to Trump in 2013, got him to run to rid America from the central banker. When other countries don't have to borrow money from them, we have our own. Yes, I remember exactly those generals, too, from the Navy. They were trying to do a coup d'etat. I remember exactly that particular year. Okay, we have Rebel Mama says, the whole world, Kenny, the United States is the last domino to fall. We cannot fail. We have Angelina Wolf who says, I like to think that he is controlled opposition. Is he? Very interesting.
Like I thought.
Yeah, could very well. Well, I can't even say could very well be. I mean, he's making it very obvious. Okay, Jim, that's going to lead us now to a very key moment here, and that's going to be Final thoughts. Final thoughts. Jim Fetzer, take us home.
Well, Dean, the man campaigned on making America, putting America first, making America great again. Some wonder how great we ever were. Well, we've certainly seen better times than we have today. The fate of the world hangs too much in the hands of this single man, who I'm sorry to say appears to be far more a puppet of Benjamin Netanyahu than Netanyahu is of him. I'm afraid we're in a very bad place, and it's not at all obvious how this is going to be resolved. I wish I could be optimistic, but the facts speak otherwise.
Very good point. I second that. Okay, I will be back tomorrow. Jim, do we have a itinerary for the wonderful parade tomorrow? Do we know what time this is starting? Does anyone know out there?
I expect it's around 10 a.m., Dean, but I'm going to a high school graduation party, so I'm going to miss a big parade if it happens at all. I think Trump may find an excuse to shut it down.
Okay, everybody. So what I'm going to do is, because I can't be there with Jim tomorrow at the graduation, I will be covering the parade tomorrow during the day. I don't know what time it is, but I'm going to provide color commentary for all of you. I'm going to try to make that happen. We're going to get the specifics on that. I'm going to be with everybody all weekend long. That is my promise to all of you. We have, okay, it starts at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So probably midday, you'll see me covering the parade. You don't want to miss that. So check your local listings and your TV guide. I will be there with all of you. Okay, so that's it. We're going to conclude it there. Jim, thank you for being here tonight. I want to wish everybody, in light of everything happening, I hope everybody has an incredible Father's Day. And Jim, congratulations to you and all your festivities back home. So for Jim Fetzer, I'm Dean Ryan, and this is a world at war, everybody. This is the war right before our eyes happening. So till next time, always remember to stay tuned and stay awake. I'll see
Some I don't know make a man and some tiresome. Some I don't know me, just let me know and myself know. 'Cause I do know love. So that day lost my mind.